Welcome back to another edition of In the Hot Seat here on the Podium Finish Live. And I'm, of course, Rob Tiongson. And on this segment, it's actually live for a change because Anthony Alfredo, driver of the number 5 Dude Wipe Chevrolet Camaro, fielded by Our Motorsports, is here. It's really cool when we actually have a live guest on this show and it's not pre-recorded. So, Anthony, I really appreciate you joining me as of this recording. It's Wednesday night. I know that you're probably watching the Celtics game, maybe not, but how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, thanks. I appreciate the opportunity to come on, talk about how things have been going on and off the track.
Absolutely. And you're certainly really newsworthy this season, I'd say. You always are, but I would say this year you're making a statement in the world of NASCAR Xfinity Series racing because you're off to a hot start. You're in the top 10 in points with a team that has less the budget of these big teams, yet you're doing big things that these big teams haven't been able to get consistently done. How are you feeling about things being in the top 10 in points before we get to Darlington next week?
Oh, it's huge. We've got some really great tracks coming up for us. Obviously, Darlington's my favorite. Charlotte's another awesome track that I think we could run well at. And really, everywhere we've been very competitive this season. We have five top tens in just the first 10 races, three of which have been in a row. We qualified for the Xfinity Dash for Cash by finishing top three at Talladega, and actually pulled off what seemed like the impossible at Dover by actually winning the Dash for Cash and being the highest finishing of the four eligible drivers. And the reason I say seemingly impossible is because we were racing an RCR car, a Stuart Haas car, and a team with a Stuart Haas alliance, whereas we have no alliance, no technical support, very few crew members, and very little equipment. Not to mention a budget that's a fraction of the size of the larger team. So to go out there and be as competitive as we have been and beat those organizations is a huge accomplishment, especially with the Dash for Cash. That can really do a lot for our team, and we can put that to good use. So, just really thankful for the opportunity. I'm blessed to be doing what I love for a living and at such a high level of competition. We're nowhere near where I want to be yet, but we have some amazing partners supporting us. Everybody's been working really hard, and I know all the fans have been psyched to see us running well and contending for finishes up front each week.
It's a really amazing accomplishment. And just to do it with a single car with less the budget, that's phenomenal. But your career in itself has been phenomenal because you've been sort of this inspirational story, Simter racing, and you've been on an uphill battle, but you've always persevered, given your experiences and coming back to our motorsports. Now, how much of a chip on your shoulder would you say you've had to say, you know what, guys, I know what I can do. I'm with a team that believes in me, and here's what I can do.
Yeah, definitely. It's really rewarding, and it's come with a lot of experiences that I've had throughout my career on and off the track, right? Things haven't always been easy, really, at all. I've learned a lot of things the hard way through mistakes, and it's made me a lot better person, a much better race car driver, and I feel like I've helped a lot of, you know, smaller teams accomplish a lot with a little by helping build the programs up and become more competitive with the experience I have now. And a lot of it was just trial and error. Some of it was trial by fire, just from inexperience and being a rookie and getting started my racing career so late at the age of 15 compared to drivers that have been doing it for much longer than that. And I'm finally finding my footing and coming into my own just now. I'm only 25 years old, so I feel like the future's bright and there's a lot ahead of me. But that being said, all the glory is going to God because He's really blessed me and put me in a good position to be surrounded by great people and accomplish the things we have, and all the things that we have yet to come to. So I really feel like everything happens for a reason, and all the experiences I've had that weren't always easy and almost challenging to the point of you know wondering what I could do differently or why I was going through what I was going through. And you just have to see things through sometimes. And this year I've really seen things come full circle just for me personally, on the competitive side, and even just away from the racetrack. So it's been really rewarding. That being said, I got to take advantage of these opportunities and really put my foot down and go to work to keep it rolling. And you mentioned we're top 10 in points, which is unreal. That is so awesome. If we can point our way into the playoffs, that's going to be a huge story, even more so than all the the wins we've had along the way this season. So I'm looking forward to that challenge. We got to just keep up the great work and putting ourselves in position late in the race like we have been, then executing, and that's really what it's come down to for us this season. So we'll just keep the momentum rolling, and if we can pull that off and make the playoffs, with or without a win, I know that first round is really intriguing. If we can crack that top 12 and be there, there's actually a good chance we could make the top, the top 8 the next round just because of the tracks in that first round. So I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but a lot of promising things on the horizon.
Hey, it's always good to have the goalpost really forward, especially if you feel the momentum's on your side and knowing that you and Josh Graham are just doing such a great job as a driver and crew chief combination because it's phenomenal. You got the top five, you got five top tens. I mean, it's a dream season. I know you'd love to have a win, but like you're saying, you're kind of floating above the water level. It's like being a kid and you're swimming in the deep end. And you're like, hey, I got this.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it just comes down to people, right? You mentioned Josh Graham, my crew chief. He's got something to prove just like I do, and he works really hard. He's a good leader for our team. Keith Barnwell came in as sort of the general manager, and he's spotting for me. That's been awesome. Everybody on the crew's been doing their part. Obviously, Chris Hour and his family, have provided me an awesome opportunity, and we've got great sponsors in our portfolio that's constantly growing. So there's just a lot of things to be excited about, and we're excited to just keep plugging away one race at a time.
And it's a bunch of New England boys that are doing this. I think that's even a neater story because you're, of course, from Connecticut and Chris Hours from my home state of Massachusetts. So there's something about the Northeast New England spirit in us that we just refuse to, buckle down and give up. We just keep on going, wouldn't you say?
I would say so.
Now, before we get in more about the Xfinity Series side of things, I think the one thing should talk about is a neat little way that you've been trying to become a better driver, a better athlete with Pison Technologies. And I watched a bit of it before the interview and before we talked, and it's just so fascinating how this AI tool that you wear, like an Apple Watch, but of course it's a different kind of wearable device. You're able to get some real data that makes you go, man, I need to do a little bit better than this, or I did better today. I was really fast. Talk about like how this all started and how much of a difference it's made for you as a driver.
Yeah, so Pison Technology is a company that I discovered late last year and started working with just for cognitive performance. I can track my mental focus, my mental agility, and even just my reaction time on the spot, my mental readiness, which is critical before getting in and out of the car, whether it's for qualifying the race and just seeing how caffeine or adrenaline or training, all those things affect my body and my neurophysiology because it actually picks up on that and those senses in your body, which is really cool because I've been able to test regularly throughout the day and see, maybe at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm actually faster than 6 o'clock in the morning when I wake up, or maybe late at night, I start slowing down. And, some days are hit or miss. There's different environmental factors, could be what you ate, what you drank, just if you slept well or not. But you can see all that with Python technology and using their app and just keeping track of it's cool because on the dashboard on their website, I could even just kind of really dive deep into my results over the last few days, weeks, and months, and see trends, which is really awesome. So now that I've been wearing the device for a while, I've been able to improve my reaction time, my focus, my agility. Those are the three main things that Python technology focuses on. But there's even a safety aspect to it. For me as a driver, I'm just making sure that I'm not just physically but mentally prepared to get behind the wheel and make split second decisions at 200 miles an hour.
And I think that came into play at Talladega because on the last lap in the cup race, I think you were running like 18th or so. And then there's that big one going to the dog leg to the stripe. Would you say that Python Technologies helped you get that sixth place finish?
Absolutely. It certainly helped me just be on my toes and be ready for anything. In that case, on the last lap, even in the Xfinity race, we had a green, white, checkered finish where I drove from 18th to third. And in the Cup Series race, I drove from 18th to sixth. And that one just came down to avoiding a big last lap melee and accident on the front straightaway. And it was just instinct. It wasn't even me having to think about it. I just instinctually turned hard left into the infield grass. It was the only place I could go to try to not pile into a wreck, and was able to still gather the car up through the wet grass at Talladega Super Speedway at 200 miles an hour, get back on the racetrack and cross the line six for my new career best Cup Series finish. And, just a couple of races I was doing with Beard Motorsports, starting with the Daytona 500, where my mental readiness helped me qualify into that race on time, and not have to worry about racing in the duels. So that was really cool to see those kind of go hand in hand, and be relative to, you know, the device and the mental training I've been doing with Pison technology, and in the Xfinity race, just executing well in that restart. So it's pretty awesome, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I know they have a lot of exciting plans, and some more technology coming out here soon.
And I imagine some of your fellow cohorts are probably saying, "Hey, Anthony, I've seen you've got a big difference in the performance. Your mental acuity is really sharp. Like, can you hook me up with that?" I bet you that some of them are going to you to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure more and more drivers are going to be looking into it. I'd love to see more people use it. Obviously, for me, there's a competitive advantage I feel like I have right now. But like I said, there's just kind of a safety aspect, and it's important all of us are doing our part, cognitively, mentally, not just physically. But we also hooked our pit crew up with some Python technology devices, because their reaction time and their readiness, their agility, their focus is critical, as important as mine. And we all know races can be won or lost on pit road. So we're all doing our part to be as prepared as possible. And it's cool to see it, improving our performance.
That's really cool. And that's great that you mentioned that your picker does it, because they have to do this like 4 or 5 times a race, hit those 5 lug nuts, jump over the wall, go around the other side of the car and do that. And if you're the fueler, you got to make sure that all the gallons of fuel from that fuel tank goes into your car. So it's really cool to hear that, and hear the difference it's made when you were getting into this, where you're like, man, I didn't realize there's so much that goes on, not with the physical, with the mental, just everything, and that it's changed my life basically.
Absolutely. 100% it has.
That's really cool. I almost kind of wish I could just trade my watch in and just get yours and see if I can get better at 5Ks, because I'd be curious to see what data tells me.
Definitely.
Now let's get back to talking about your year, because I mean it's been so amazing. I would say you're the story so far in Xfinity, and you know, um, taking on Dover, getting the Dash for Cash bonus, that had to be such a thrill for you. Amongst the other emotional stories you've had, I think when you finished in the top five, I think at Texas with RCR in 2020, we saw the emotions come out. But when you got that 100K bonus and you're like, I've never won this much money before in my life, have you thought, man, I hope the ceiling doesn't end right here?
No, I think we're only just getting started, to be honest with you. We have definitely accomplished a lot in a short amount of time, but there's a lot left on the to do list, on the checklist. And we just have to keep doing what we've been doing. And as I said earlier, take it one race at a time, but consistently improve like we have been, in order to not just be a playoff contender, but ultimately make the playoffs and try to make a legitimate run at, the round of eight, maybe even beyond that.
For sure. And when we get to that part of the season, we're going to be welcoming in a new TV partner in CW. I know it's kind of a trial run before they get to the full time efforts next year, but as a full time competitor in Xfinity, how much are you looking forward to seeing a new TV partner themselves to this series starting this fall and pretty much for the next 6 years?
It's really exciting. The Xfinity Series has been so competitive. I think the cars are a blast to drive, great to race. We put on an awesome product for the fans, and to know that it's going to be available for everyone, at home. It's not limited access. Everyone has the channel. They can look at the CW network and see the NASCAR Xfinity Series races and on track coverage. So that's huge for not just our series, but the sport of NASCAR in general. And I'm definitely pumped to see where it goes.
I think it's going to be neat because, like you said, you don't even have to have like Hulu Live TV. All you need is a little antenna with your HD TV or a 4K TV, and you're set. You could see practice, qualifying, and like the Xfinity race. I mean, it doesn't get better than that, I would
No,
say.
no, it's definitely really important for the growth of our sport, and making sure fans have access from anywhere in the country.
I think so. And I love the racing in the Xfinity series because it's pretty much what the Cup Series used to be, with high horsepower, edge of your control racing. I mean, it's as old school as it gets, I would say.
Absolutely. That's my favorite part about it.
You're getting on the ragged edge of control, and I'm sure you're looking forward to getting back out there. I'm sure that when you're on a hot streak like you are, Anthony, I know we're kind of going into Kansas for the Cup Series and the Truck Series. You're probably like, man, why do we have to have a weekend off? I want to go back racing.
Yeah, definitely. I want to keep the momentum rolling. I actually really like Kansas. It's one of my favorite intermediate tracks, and I think we could run really well there. We will later in the year, but it's good to have an off week. We could celebrate our Dash for Cash win this past weekend and take the time to just keep improving. We're not playing catch up right now. Fortunately, we've had a great start to the year, and we could just use this time to get that much better for when we do come back at Darlington, so that we could go out there and chase our first win.
Certainly. I'm sorry, that's my dog, and Amelia. I think she wants to say hi to you, but fortunately, she wants to interview you, but we'll let her do it another time. Now, for me, Anthony, I know it's kind of one of the questions that my photographers who was at Dover, she was asking. It's kind of a goofy question. She was like, "What bank will take a big check like yours and let you cash it in?"
So unfortunately, none. They send you a real one. It's a lot smaller and comes in a little envelope. The big one just looks cool on the wall.
Yeah.
So wasn't able to cash that one.
But at least you get to keep it as a keepsake, and that's going to be so cool. And just knowing the fact that you won the last one for the year, you get to have bragging rights until next year.
Definitely.
That's really cool, man. Well, before we get wrapping up, we have a couple more questions here on my list here. And really, when it comes down to Darlington, I know that throwback weekend's coming up. I don't know if you're at liberty to talk about if there's a throwback paint scheme for your car or not, but if there is, I'd definitely love to hear about it.
We're definitely gonna have to wait and see for that one. But I can just say that I'm really excited to go to Darlington for sure.
Oh, well, we'll have to looking forward to the socials on that one because I'm there's so many different ideas that could happen with this five car. Depending on the partner, I suppose. Is still going to be dude wipes?
Not at Darlington, it won't.
Okay. Well, keep us posted because we certainly want to see what that will be. I wish there was Xfinity racing this week because I'm looking forward to seeing what you'll do. But let's kind of take things a little bit off track, have a little fun here, and do some free association. So, tell me the first thing that comes to your mind, Anthony, when you hear these following words. So, music.
Rock and roll.
Okay. Rock and roll.
Ooh, Boulder.
Okay. Um, better band, Beatles or Rolling Stones?
Rolling Stones for me personally.
Okay, that's fair from this Beatles fan over here. Um, overrated racing term.
Slide job.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, we hear too much about that for sure. Um, guilty pleasure food.
This could go a number of ways. Probably pasta.
Well, yeah, obviously because of your nickname. But is there a particular pasta that you're like, I just gotta have it?
Every pasta.
Every pasta. Oh man, at least you have a wide palate. I eat mine's plain, so I'm pretty boring like that. Um, decade that you could wish to time travel and spend the weekend.
Probably the 80s.
Okay, I'll tell you a little bit about that off topic. I will say the 80s was a great decade because I lived in it, so I loved it. And my last question on the free association side of things is Dream Team.
On what association?
Free association, like we're still on that side of
Oh,
things.
so dream team of
Yeah,
what?
interpret it any way you wish. This is free reign, my friend.
Dream team. I I just think cup championship. I don't know. That's a
That's
dream
fine.
team. A
Yeah,
group of
no,
people capable of doing that.
that's a good answer.
That's
It's a
a
very
tough one.
esoteric.
That's broad. That's broad.
Hey, we like to keep things esoteric on TPF Live. That's what we do. And I know you got to get going here in a moment, but for my last question for you, my friend, and hopefully we get to catch up and maybe do this quite frequently because of the fact you're having such a great year. You know, what advice would you share to yourself 10 years ago about what you know about racing in life that you wish you knew at the age of 15 that you know at age 25?
The biggest thing is just patience. Have patience. every lap, when in battle, each race, and just throughout a season, really, because racing comes with a lot of ups and downs, and it's a super competitive sport. So you just have to grind it out and wait your turn.
Patience. That's a great life virtue that I think all of us could have, especially as a race car driver. But even if you're not one, it's one that I wish all of us could have, but you don't learn it until you're older, I suppose. Now, is there anything else you want to say to the fans, your partners out there? Just some shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, just super thankful for everyone who supports us, all the fans, the Sauce Mafia, as I call them, and of course our sponsors. We got an amazing portfolio of sponsors backing us and getting us to the track each week. It wouldn't be possible without them, and everyone at Our Motorsports who have worked so hard for us to be as competitive as we have been this year, and will continue to do so as in a part of myself, just to get out there every week and keep turning heads.
We'll certainly see Anthony do that all year long because this is the little team that can. And we love when that happens in the world of racing. So, Anthony, my friend, it's always a pleasure to have you here on TPF and in the hot seat. Like I said, let's have you here as much as possible because I know a win's around the corner for you. I'm going to make that bold prediction.
I like the sound of that. Thank you.